Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Bound Journals. Welcome back to my channel. I am a journaler, journal maker and teacher of journaling courses, and today in this video I will be working on some new Daphne's Diary journals featuring the latest edition that I have of the magazine, which I have done a flip through for you guys on my channel. And as I go through making the covers and choosing the pages and cutting those pages down to size to fit the covers, I am going to be answering your questions from the giveaway video where this was the prize. So before I get into all of that, let me announce the winner of this giveaway. So the winner will receive a Daphne's Diary envelope journal that I made, plus an ephemera holder with some goodies inside, and the ballerina Daphne's Diary journal featuring one of the covers from the magazine. Big thank you so much to everyone who entered. Big drum roll. The winner is Gail Bear. Congratulations. So excited for you. Hope you absolutely love it and it can be a special treasure for you. And please email me. My email's in the description box below. So just let me know your address so I can send that out to you ASAP. Okay, so let's get to making some Daphne's Diary journals. So you can just sit back and relax. Maybe this is going to be a long video, so just grab something scrumptious to eat, something yummy to drink. And I've just got this running in the background so that you've got something to watch. If you did want to hear a proper walkthrough voiceover video for these, they will be over on my Patreon, since I've already done a full series from start to finish making some Daphne's Diary journals on my channel really recently. I like alternating them, some for my channel, some for my patrons. So this series that you see here, I will do the walkthrough over on my Patreon. So let's just get to answering your questions. I'm going to do this pretty rapid fire because my aim is to, well, I'll write my reply as well to all of you. If I haven't gotten to your question yet, I will be writing a reply to every single one of your questions, and I will try to answer as many questions as well in video format too, because I think that's fun when you can actually show and tell. And I'm trying to collate some of the questions that are similar so that I can share them all together in one video, for example. So yeah, this will just be more of an audio version of me rapid firing answering your questions, and hope that it is helpful and enjoyable. I'm going to just go in chronological order, I suppose, from the first comments to the last comments. So the first person was Heather Sherlock, and she wants to know where I get my Daphne's Diary magazines from. So I get them from, at the moment, Daphne's Diary. They reached out to me by email asking if they could send me some of their products, and they've been sending me the magazines, which has been wonderful. And big thank you to them, because I adore the magazines. But before that, I got them from a local news agency where I am, and before that I've also gotten them from eBay. And she also says that she likes videos on hand making journals, and she's interested in making her own art journals. Do you have any recommendations? So I would recommend just getting inspired by other art journalers and people who make their own journals, you know, on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, whatever you prefer, and just find out what you like and watch lots of videos. That's what I do anyway. Watch lots of videos and give it a go. Just give it a go. Dive in. Try not to be too stressed about creating something beautiful or perfect. Just have fun with it. So get inspired by art journalists out there and junk journalists out there, and then give it a go yourself. That's the best way to learn, is to give it a go yourself. Karen asks, what is the usual size of the paper bag that I use to make my paper bag journals, and the size of the envelopes? So I actually already have a video sharing that, so I will link that video in the description box below. So that's one of those questions that I answered with a video, and I believe it was Opal who also asked that question too. So definitely go check out that video. So I get that question a lot. And because I might be, you know, out or I don't have my ruler handy, I can always just now refer people to that video, and I measure a whole bunch of different envelopes and bags, so hopefully that is handy having it all in one place. Okay, so then we have Ashley. She wants to know if I make any other types of crafts. So my background, I have always been a crafter, even since I was a kid. I started with drawing and then colouring in, and then painting, and as I got older, got into jewellery making, had a big phase with that, a phase with photography. Then I got into scrapbooking, card making, mixed media, and then finally I landed on junk journaling. And now I think I really love, my next thing after junk journaling is art journaling. So yeah, I am having a blast with art journaling at the moment. And then Amiel, she asked me, how can you part with the ballerina journal? As that is one of the most fun thing. That's one of the most fun things you do. So for those who don't know, I have been doing ballet for quite a few years now, and I do adore ballet and love ballet and teach ballet this year. Easy, I can answer that question though easily, because as much as I love ballet, that particular image, while I really like it, didn't resonate with me personally. It's not in my colours, for example. If it was blue, then maybe I would keep it, but yeah, it wasn't for me. But I still wanted to give a piece of me in the giveaway because I love ballet. And she asks, how do you get all these made, all these videos or journals or projects, I guess she's referring to, with such a busy life you lead? So I'm actually going to try a video on that, because I get this question so many times from people, that how I fit in making so many journals or whatever, and all that kind of thing. So I thought I'd do like a day in the life of a journal maker, or just a schedule video, or a week in the life of a journal maker or something, because when you actually break it down, like, you don't understand how much time I have. This being my full-time job, pretty much I have, 24 hours a day I could literally be spending on this, so I have a lot of time on my hands to be able to do this. But yeah, I will try and answer that more in depth in a video. And big shout out to all you guys for your support on this journey, and especially to my beautiful patrons who are the reason I can do this full time. Thank you so much for supporting me each month. I'm never sure if I can keep doing it, but when I check the patrons at the start of the month, I'm like, okay, am I going to be able to do this for another month? And so far, since I've started this crazy full-time journey, leaving my job to pursue this, I have been able to do this for how long now? I think it was in April 2020 that I took that leap. So yeah, it's now, what is it? I can't even, it's May 2022, so wow. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, it's been like 2 years. Crazy. Thank you so much. Madeline asks, do you make handmade journaling cards or tags? I do. So I have some videos sharing tutorials on how I make my tags, and I've shown videos as well about how I make or showing journal cards that I make. Basically with the tags, I use a manila folder and just glue on top of it pretty wallpaper or vintage papers or fabric, or collage on top of them. With my journal cards, I basically cut out pretty images and sew them onto coffee dye paper so that there's writing space on the back. She also asks, what's your favourite type of ephemera to make? I am not the biggest fan of making ephemera, but if I had to choose, it might be tags. I like the way tags look. Pockets are always fun too, just sewing pockets together. Those vellum pockets that I did recently were quite fun. We have Kim. She asks, how did you hear of making journals, and have you ever made decorated paper clips? Yes, I have done altered paper clips. I think I have a tutorial on that too on my channel. So that was probably one of my earlier videos back when I first started YouTube. And then I'm planning on filming a video sharing the story of how I got into making junk journals, because again, this is another question that lots and lots of people ask. So if I can refer them to a video with a bit more show and tell. But basically, in a nutshell, it was through looking through YouTube one random night when I couldn't sleep, or just before going to bed. So it was late at night, and stumbled across Johanna Clough and Amity Bloom, and it was just like, what on earth is this that I'm watching? I had never seen anything like it, but it blew my mind and it inspired me so much, and it felt like I found my home, the thing that I'd been looking for that I didn't know existed, because I've always been a journaler and a memory keeper with keeping ephemera. I didn't know it was called ephemera at the time, but I had no way of putting it all together. So junk journals gave me a way to bring it all together, which was absolutely amazing. Patricia. Big shout out also to Amiel, who is a patron, and big shout out to Patricia, who is a patron. Thank you, lovely ladies, for your support. Patricia asks, have or would you consider making TNs with decorated inserts? I haven't done it before, and I don't think I would, because the TN inserts, with decorated inserts. Okay, so that's different to the cover, isn't it? I wouldn't attempt the cover, with the leather cover or the covers that they make, because I would not know where to start with how to make one of those. Inserts. I have actually made inserts for my own traveler's notebooks, and the way I made them was I made myself junk journal style inserts. So I'm not sure if you would classify that as decorated inserts, or if you more mean like blank inserts that you pre-decorate. And yeah, maybe I would consider that, yeah. Then we have Betty. She asks, she says, I know you are not to ask a lady's age, but will you share yours with us? Certainly, I am 36, and everyone's fallen off their chair by now. In real life, yeah, everyone is completely shocked by that, and I can just think, well, when I'm 80, I'll look 40. Pros and cons. She asks, do you know if Reader's Digest condensed books are glued spines or sewn? I think they are glued. I don't actually look at that because I just rip out the pages. So I gut my Reader's Digest books when I make journals out of them, because I just want the covers. So I don't actually know. I don't have one with me right now because I've prepared all my covers. I think they're glued though, just from memory, but I'm not too sure about that, sorry. She says she wants to remove some pages to make an altered book. I have done altered books before, yes, I love it, and I do want to do a video on altered books one day as well, so that will definitely be coming. So yeah, give it a go though. You can always, doesn't matter if it is glued, you can still do an altered book with it regardless of if it's glued or sewn. Linda asks, have you ever tried using a jelly plate? No, I haven't. I've seen a lot of things about it on social media, and looks very, very cool, but no, it hasn't been something that's inspired me particularly to try it myself. But yeah, it all looks amazing what people create with it. Colleen asks, whose journal would you buy if you could? Oh, I love this question. So of course I have to say Johanna Clough, because she's my junk journal idol. Having said that, I do already have one of her journals that she so kindly gifted to me, and it was such a lovely surprise, so I feel like I've already got one of hers. So Perhaps if I was to choose someone else who I don't already have a journal from, then I would have to say Amity Bloom, because she's the second person who I just admire so much and love her style. Then we have Angela. She asks, do you have a family? And she would like to know more about my life. I don't have my own family, but of course, I have my black cat Keanu, so I'm a cat mum. On Mother's Day, it was Happy Cat Mum Day. Where am I up to? I printed out all of your questions, so I also apologize if I missed your question. I'm so sorry. It's just I copy and pasted all the comments and put them into a Word document, but with the the pasting and the formatting, it might have missed one, so I really apologize if I somehow missed your question. Just type it again if I did, or if I answer your question not to your satisfaction, please clarify it, or just ask me to elaborate, or I can be more specific about something, or yeah, I love questions, so never be afraid to ask me questions. Even if you put like 20 questions in one comment, that would be like heaven to me, so you can't ask too many questions. And yeah, I would like to also in the future film a video where I can share a bit more personally about my life, maybe like a 20 facts about me or something. So if you have anything that you would like to know, feel free to chuck them in the comments as well, and I can compile like a video answering your questions about my life. Xenia, patron Xenia, thank you so much. She asks, what do you think of the football this year? So Xenia and I both go for the West Coast Eagles. In Australia, that's our football code, Aussie rules football, the AFL. And yeah, I have been a bit sad that they are on the bottom of the ladder. But I can't complain too much, because in 2018, which is not that long ago, they won the premiership, which came out of nowhere. Like, I did not expect them to win that year. It was crazy. It was such a gift. It was such a bonus. So I'm still riding on that. Like, that does me for 10 years. I'm good. I'm happy for seeing other teams win. Although what I am also sad about is not seeing Natanui and Gaff win a premiership. I really hoped that they could win one. Yeah, anyway, hopefully they do better next year. Come on, Eagles, woo! Okay, Sondra, patron Sondra, thank you so much, Sondra, asks, how do you arrange your supplies for optimal use? Well, I have a video sharing how I store and organize my supplies. If you guys want to check that out, you can definitely do that. But I will try to film an updated version of that as well. I'm just trying to get my room in order, declutter, clean, organize before I'm able to film that video sharing how I organize things. But basically I put my most used items on my desk right in front of me, so they're ease of access, but also the ones that I want to use I will put right within arm's reach, so that I can see them and pick them up. If they're on a shelf away from me, even if I know they're there, I probably won't reach for them. So they have to be within arm's reach for me and in my sight. That's how I do it for optimal use. And she says, is there a formula that I follow when I decide what goes in a journal? I wouldn't call it a formula, but because I am such a systematic, methodical person, I probably do have a subconscious formula, because that's the way I live my life. Everything sort of is done with some sort of method and order to it. So I will have a brainstorm about that and think about that, and maybe take some notes and put together a video sharing my process / formula / method in terms of what I put into a journal. Rebecca asks, how many journals do you own and where do you store them? So if you're talking junk journals, or are you talking all journals? Because I also have, art journals, writing journals, different types of journals. I started out as a journaler just writing, and I've got maybe 50 of those. And with my junk journals, it's getting up there. It's almost probably getting to 50 now. There's a lot. There are a lot of them. I've been a lifelong journaler. and that's not even like, I've got tons of journals. Lots of them are finished, some of them are half finished, others I haven't used yet. So I've got tons. There's journals everywhere in my room where I store them. My little system is, I have my straight journaling journals on one shelf in a bookcase. My junk journals that I am yet to use are all on one shelf as well. The ones that I'm currently using are all on a shelf as well. And then my used journals, they are either in a container under my bed or in the bottom drawer of my chest of drawers. I'm planning on sharing a video showing all my journals and how I store them as well. I'm excited for that type of video. I love seeing that type of video. Stacy asks, what type of magazines do I use besides Daphne's Diary? So I've already answered that in that Daphne's Diary video I put up a little bit ago. The only other one that I've used so far is In Her Studio, which you can see a flip through on my channel. Anything I mention, feel free, if you're curious, you can always just use the search bar and just type in like tags or In Her Studio or craft supplies or storage, and everything will come up in that category for you on my channel. I also occasionally will go to op shops and just find other random magazines, so maybe gardening magazines or wedding magazines for the beautiful dresses, that kind of thing. Sue asks, do I have a checklist of items you put into your journal? So this one kind of relates to what Sandra was talking about, so I thought maybe I could combine those two questions in a video and maybe write a list of different things that I put in journals, and hope that is helpful. So that is something that I will work on. I'll put together a checklist for you guys. A Lovely Yarn asks how I originally got started in junk journaling. So yeah, I answered that one just before about being on YouTube and discovering Johanna Clough and Amity Bloom. Have I always journaled? Pretty much. I got serious about it in grade 5 when I was 11 or so. And ever since then, I've been a constant journaler with a few gaps in between. But mainly, yeah, been journaling forever. And even before I became a consistent journaler, I always had journals and notebooks and diaries. Did I use to scrapbook? Yes, I did. So when I went to uni, that was probably the height of my scrapbook days. I maybe filled 3 or 4 scrapbooks. I just found it too cumbersome. Those huge, square, heavy scrapbooks, I just found it too much, too awkward to do. And yeah, junk journals is much more my style. But yeah, scrapbooking was fun. I still have some of my albums. And yeah, let's have a look. They're just so awkward to store and to flip it though. Let's keep on going. So Joyce asks, what country am I from? I am from Australia. Christina asks, oh no, that's a video request. So I've copied and pasted all of the questions and video requests. So I will work my way through both the video requests and questions and combine whatever I can together. If you don't see an answer through a video, like a request through a video, sorry, it's just because it's not something that I do. It's either not something I do, so I can't show you, like I can't show you something that I don't even do myself, or something that I just logistically aren't yet able to do. But anything that I am able to do and can do that way, I will do my best to try and get these video requests out. There's just a lot of them, so we'll see how we go. Where am I up to? Kathleen asks, how do you decide what to use for your digitals, and do I ever make a kit dependent on someone else's request? For sure, yes. So there were a lot of people asking for a faith journal kit, so their wish was my command. I put together a faith journaling kit with linens with faith sentiments on it, and I plan to do more for you guys around the faith journaling printables. So that's another thing that I will have for you guys eventually, hopefully. And then yeah, one time I asked my not patrons, I asked in the Facebook group for Willow Bound Journals what kits people would like to see, and one lady, Colleen, asked for a butterfly kit, so I made that for her. So yeah, if you have any requests for digital kits, feel free to put those in the comments. How do I decide what to use for my digitals? Basically anything that I love. So often it's because I scan the things that I want to use multiples of, or that I don't want to use the original of, so I'll scan it so I feel okay using the scanned version and then can preserve the original. So anything vintage mostly. Things like vintage papers, especially vintage French items. I love vintage French ephemera, ledger papers. Also like doilies and linens with the embroidery. Love scanning those, of course. So yeah, that's what I kind of use for. And then there's other digitals that I make myself or put together myself. You know, the ones like the quotes, the journal cards, or ephemera from my own life, personal life, photos, artwork that I do, that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a mix, just things that I like and that I use and want to share. So Rachel asks, how is your walk with God going? Oh, I love these types of deep questions. So at the moment, life has been a bit challenging, but I love that, you know, God has always been my rock and the thing that I can always hold on to, and can always, you know, talk to him and turn to him and run to him, and he'll always be there with open arms. And yeah, I just love that about him, or one of the things I love about him. And one of the things that he's speaking to me about at the moment is just, yeah, even with the challenges at the moment, that there's an open door, that it might look like closed doors everywhere, but he's got an open door right in front of me, and that even though it might feel like weeds and desert and like storms and cyclones and tornadoes and lightning and all of that, and you know, like dead trees and all that kind of thing, he has a beautiful garden. So he often uses the garden and things like trees and flowers to speak to me. Like I connect a lot with that. And so he gave me a picture of, because often he speaks to me through pictures, and he gave me a picture of like this beautiful flourishing blooming garden with beautiful trees and flowers and that kind of thing. And that is something that you can hold on to whenever he gives you a word or a picture or a promise. That's something you can hold on to. And so even if when you look around and your circumstances might seem one way, to know that with God, he can always turn things around, and that, he can always, you know, work everything for good, and there's always hope with God, and that, yeah, it's just an amazing journey, and I absolutely love the journey with God. It's so good, yeah, love it. Genevieve asks, do you ever embellish blank pages with stamps in journals you sell? So I'm not the hugest fan of stamping. I've mentioned this before on my channel. I like the idea of stamps, and they do look pretty on pages, but I tend to not use stamps very often. But having said that, in the past, yes, I have used stamps, so I'm sure that stamps have made appearances in some of the journals that I have sold. Maybe it would have been a butterfly stamp probably, or some flower stamps. In fact, yes, I remember exactly which stamps they were. I can't quite remember what journals they were in, but I do know I did use these particular stamps. Deb asks, do you have any ideas for incorporating a junk journal with a scripture writing journal? Oh, and so I already have my faith journal, so I think I replied to her already with a written comment, and a link to a flip through of one of my faith journals. So yes, I do love I love journaling, so anytime I journal, no matter what it's about, you can always combine any type of journaling with junk journaling. So it doesn't matter if it's, you know, a devotional or a prayer journal or a scripture writing journal, gratitude journal, whatever it is. If it's any type of journaling, you can combine that for sure. with junk journaling. And I think I mentioned in that reply to her that I just find pictures or ephemera that has something to do with what I'm journaling about. So for example, if I was journaling about the garden that God was speaking to me about, I might put some flowers on the page and write about that in my junk journal. Next we have patron Diana. Thank you so much for your support. She asks, who inspires you? Well, definitely Johanna Clough and Amity Bloom. Also Tiffany, Julia, Liz Lamoureux, Sabrina Ward Harrison. There's quite a few Instagram people who I follow who inspire me, and I don't exactly know their actual names because they use like an Instagram-y name. But I am definitely planning a video where I share links to these people either on YouTube or Instagram that I admire, and yeah, I just want to share them with you guys. And they are people who, no matter what they create, I'm just like, you know, drawn to it, and it sparks something in me, and it makes me want to create myself. So yeah, these are artists, journalists, writers, yeah, amazing creators basically. So those are the ones that I can think of right now, but I will share more in that video of people who inspire me, and I'll share more about why they inspire me in that video too. And then we have Lune Soul. Thank you for your patron support as well. What are your dreams, plans for your channel in the future? Oh, I love anything to do with dreams, one of my core values. So great question again. I haven't really had a huge think about it recently. That's something I should do more. But off the top of my head, I would say I just want to help, inspire, encourage people to journal their lives basically. And by doing that through sharing my own journals, my own journaling, how I journal, but also through the journal courses that I teach, walking alongside fellow journalers and cheering them on to fill up their own journals with their own stories, with their own photos and ephemera, and document their lives. I think that's so precious, so special. And for me, a journal, it's all about the writing, it's all about the things that you put inside of it to document your story. I can't get over that. It's just, I love it, and it's so important in my eyes, and something that I will always advocate for and always encourage people to do. And that's basically, I guess, what my whole channel is mainly about. I know I do tutorials and I, you know, share other things besides that, but at the end of the day, my heart is helping people to journal and create. That's another side of it too, for the well-being side of it and mental health, to have journaling and creativity not just a thing that can document our lives, but something that helps us to know ourselves, something that helps give us clarity, and something that gives us joy, just pure joy, and something that can give us peace and rest and a therapeutic outlet. So those two things that journaling gives us and creativity gives us is just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Cheryl asks, do you ever or could you please show ephemera that you make with Daphne's Diary magazine for my Daphne's Diary journals? So that's one I answered already in that Daphne's Diary video. And basically, I don't make ephemera from the magazine. I only make journals from them. I never add ephemera to my Daphne's Diary journals, because that's just how I like my Daphne's Diary journals made. The pages are already stunning just the way they are, and I don't want to take anything away from that. And the blank pages, I just want that to be your blank canvas to be able to write on. Just a reminder, you can't sell anything with Daphne's Diary in it, but you can definitely make it as gifts. And so the people who I give these journals to as gifts, I want them to have the magazine pages be the inspiration for their journaling, and then what they put on that blank page is all them, nothing on the page already that comes from the magazine or anywhere else, but what they put on that blank page is all them. I love that. Where are we? Emily, she asks, how did I start doing ballet? And maybe I could do a video of me doing ballet. So I do have a video of me doing a bit of point work over on my Patreon if you would like to see that, and that was a request as well for my patrons, so I will be putting up a video. Well, I'm trying to figure out how to do one. I'm not sure how to do the logistics of filming, but yeah, I aim to put up a video on Patreon of me doing ballet. And then how did I start doing it? Well, I always as a kid loved it. It was like one of my dream jobs as a kid, something that I thought I was made to do because I just loved the grace and the beauty of it. So I always kind of grew up loving it and doing my own stretching and dancing. Like I was always doing that, like often my whole childhood. I would be stretching and dancing in my own time. I never did classes, I'm too shy for that. So it was always in my room or at home when no one was around. So then finally at the age of 26, I took an adult ballet class, beginner class. That's a whole other story in itself. That's how long it took me to find my courage, you guys. So 26 years, I finally found my courage to try it. And I did 2 years of ballet being taught by ex-professional ballerinas in Melbourne, and then I moved to Bowen. I thought, oh well, I'm never going to be doing ballet again because Bowen is a small country, rural town. But no, I was able to find a ballet school that would accept me there, and I was like the only adult and I was with high school girls, but I was like, you know what, I love ballet so much, I don't care, I'm gonna do it. And so I've been dancing with them for many years now. And then this year I am actually teaching ballet, which is absolutely amazing, and my ballet dreams have come true. I have performed classical ballet in a tutu and tiara on stage. I have got my point shoes, and like, not too late. I thought at the age of 26 that it was too late. And then when I moved to Bowen, I thought it was too late again. By the time I was like 28, 29, I thought, well, I'm never going to, you know, do any of that. But wow, never say never. So that is a whole story in itself, that whole ballet journey. Jo, big thank you to you, patron Jo. What sort of sewing machine do I use, and what do you use most on it? So I have a Brother GS3700. That's the model number, and I pretty much just use either straight stitch, zigzag stitch, or the heartbeat type of stitch. I don't know what that one's called. If I'm doing like a vintage journal, I tend to use the zigzag one, but I'm not really fast. I just rotate between those three. Kathy asks, do you ever make altered books? And yes, yeah, I've answered that one a little bit already. But my anchor journal, that was an altered book, and ever since then I've loved altered books. I think it's like my new favorite thing is altered books, especially like altered art journal, collage journal, junk journal, all combined in one. It's amazing. And I do, yeah, like I said, plan to share a video on altered books. So Lisa, she wants to know if I struggle with creative slumps. Any tips and tricks to get over this would be amazing. So she wants to know my favorite ways to overcome creative slumps. Now this is a question I get quite a lot as well, so I want to address that in a video of its own as well. But in a nutshell, yeah, I go through creative slumps every now and then where I'm just unmotivated, uninspired. But my biggest tip for that is just go with it. Because there's other things to do in life besides creating. So go and watch a movie, go and hang out with a friend, go dance, go play some music, go read a book. So that's what I tend to do, is I'll just ask myself, what do I feel like doing now? And I have lots of other hobbies, you know, like I love reading, I do love watching movies, I do love dancing, I do love listening to music, playing music, I've got my piano, so I'll just do one of my other hobbies while I'm in a slump. But the other thing is use the slump, create about your slump, journal about I am in a creative slump. This is what it feels like. And like with my art journaling, for example, I will draw how I feel. So if I'm in a creative slump, I will just draw how I feel in that creative slump. Use it. The other thing is I used to do something easy to get me out of it. For example, I would just cut out images from a magazine, something nice and easy like that. So in another way, I would say, you've probably heard me say on my channel sometimes before that I don't really get into creative slumps because, yeah, I just do whatever it is. I'll do my other hobbies. Like I don't call it I've got a movie watching slump. It's just I don't feel like watching a movie at the time. So if I don't feel like creating, I'll just go do something else that I do feel like. So yeah, but I'll be more specific about that question in a video, and hope that that might be helpful, because I know that a creative slump is a personal thing. Like what it feels like for me will be different for you, and there's different reasons for slumps and there's different expressions of a slump. So I'm trying to, like when I do the video, go through the different versions of a creative slump and what I do for each type of version. Gifts HQ asks, how long have I been doing this art form? So junk journaling I started in August 2017. Linda asks, have you decided to discontinue your faith channel? So basically I still have it open, and it will always, well, I think it will always be there for whenever I want to pick that up again and am able to. So for those who don't know, at the start of this year I was studying a Bachelor of Arts Therapy full-time, as well as trying to keep a full-time job doing Willow bound journals, as well as working part-time or casually at my old job when I got called back there, as well as teaching ballet. So between all of that, I just found the timing of starting a second channel was probably not great timing. And so I decided just to focus on this channel, and in fact this channel got quite neglected during that time. You might not have noticed because I had quite a lot of backlog of videos that I had already pre-filmed, but yeah, this I know myself that this channel got neglected for a little while there at the start of this year. So it's only been pretty recently actually that I've been able to pick it up again better, and I don't know if you've noticed that, but I've been able to put a lot more time and effort into this and energy now that I am no longer doing that Bachelor of Arts Therapy. One thing I learned about that was that I do not want to do assignments anymore, which is crazy, because if you've followed my journey for a while on my channel, you know that I'm a study freak, or I was a study freak. It's been quite an enlightening time for me because I've had to realize or learn that my identity has developed. Where I always saw myself as a study freak who loved assignments and deadlines and essays, doing that course, I was just not happy. I was quite miserable, in fact. Loved the content. I loved what we were learning. It was wonderful. I wish I could still be learning it with everyone in the class. That was so enjoyable, and I went through a bit of a grieving process actually, which was quite hard, having to leave learning about all of that good stuff. But yeah, I just learned I was not a studier anymore. And not to say maybe later on I will get back into that down the track, but the thought of doing assessments and scholarly research and a bibliography, oh my gosh, I just don't even want to do that ever again at the moment. By the way, I am going on and on and on with these questions. It's taking a bit longer than I was expecting, so I'm just going to put up some other videos that I have actually put on my Patreon this one is sharing how I went through this magazine looking for things to cut out. So if you want to check out the actual version of this video where I share about my process and what I'm looking for and just a bit of a chatty video, you can check that out over on Patreon. But for now, I'm just giving you something to look at in the background while I answer your questions. So yeah, basically I'm still trying to find my feet. I'm still just getting back into dedicating myself to my channel again and Willow Bound Journals. Yeah, like I hadn't even been creating many journals at all. Like still this year I have not created as many journals as I would have liked. So I'm just getting now back into a bit of a routine. And then later on, I'm not even thinking about the faith channel just yet. I'm just focusing on finding my feet again. Like for those who don't know as well, I had my car was in an accident. Everything's fine, it's all good. I wasn't hurt, no one was hurt, but my car was in an accident, for example. My car then died. I had wisdom teeth surgery, where I got 8 teeth pulled out in a hospital, and then braces, and just like one thing on top of the other, COVID, isolation, and then getting sick, and you know, all of these things happening. So the faith channel, I haven't even thought about that. And so when I am back on my feet, I may look at that, but it might not be till, you know, next year that I think about that again. But I do still want to do faith journaling videos. I still want to share about that. So I'm just finding my feet though before I even look at what I'm doing with that. But yeah, Sarah asks, who inspires you in making your creations? Oh, so that's the same answer to Diana about who inspires me. And what do I do to jumpstart my creativity during a slump? So yeah, quite a few people in this giveaway asked that question. So like I said, I'll do a video about that later on. All right, let's try and get through this rapid fire. B. Yaden also asked what I do to push through a slump. So again, I'll cover that in a video. Steph asks how you feel about your subscribers and success on YouTube. Wow, so I am I don't even have words really. It's all, this whole YouTube thing is and it's always been something where I have to pinch myself. Like it doesn't feel real. It always just feels so surreal, and I'm in it and I'm doing it. I'm doing the things, but when I like sit back and really reflect on what has happened and, you know, subscribers and everything, I don't know, it's just I literally have no words. Apparently I'm thankful, but I also feel clueless about why, you know, like, and how strange it is. Yeah, it's in my eyes bizarre, but I'm thankful. I'm super thankful for the path that this journey has taken. I never expected this. I think it's absolutely crazy. Like when I talk to my friends and my family, they're like, would you ever believe this is what you'd be doing? And I'm like, no, never. And we just laugh because it's so crazy. It like, it's seriously so crazy. But yeah, I thank you guys for being part of this journey with me. My favorite thing about, I guess, subscribers is getting to know you, is meeting you guys. Like having friends from around the world is so amazing. Connecting with you guys, you know, when I find a kindred spirit like Susan, it's so fun, and connecting over journaling and creativity, and getting to hear how journaling has helped you guys, and like that, like honestly, so you guys have heard probably this as well if you followed my channel for a while, like my struggles with YouTube. Every now and then I will be just like, it's too hard, it's too much, it's too scary, like it's too big. But what keeps me going is I'll get like a message or an email from someone or a comment that says something like, wow, that video inspired me to make my first journal, or wow, that video inspired me to start journaling in a journal, or I haven't journaled in a really long time, but watching your video made me start journaling again. Like those messages for me are what this is all about. That is that's the reason. So they keep me going. So your comments and messages really do mean a lot to me. They have definitely kept me going. So a big thank you to you for that. And yeah, it's just been a crazy journey, and I have no idea where it's going to head. Like I said, every month I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to do this another month. It's all a bit unknown when you're a small business owner. Everything is a bit unpredictable and unknown. So it can be quite stressful. It can be quite just full of that uncertainty. But yeah, I am thankful for whatever time I have in this season where I am able to create and share with you guys, and where we can journal and create together and connect over that. That's just so wonderful. So Ginny asks what I do when I can't find my mojo. Again, that's a similar question to the creative slump thing. Usually I will either just do something that I do feel like doing, which is one of my other hobbies, or I will create out of what I'm feeling. I'll create out of that slump. Flutterby Junk Journals asks, what is your favourite art supply? Well, I guess that's different to my favourite junk journal supply, but I always say paper because that's your canvas to work on. You can do anything on paper, draw, write, stick things on that thing. I adore paper so much. But if I'm doing like art, I love collage at the moment. I'm loving magazines, using images from magazines to collage with, and I'm also enjoying acrylic paint at the moment as well. Haiku Barbie asks, how do you decide which books to use for journals? What makes a good book for junk journaling? So I wanted to clarify this, if that was referring to what books make good journals in terms of like a cover for a journal, or what books make what books are good for journaling in terms of for ripping out pages. So I'll kind of see if I can answer both. I like hardcover books where you can easily take out the pages, where they're not like attached directly to the spine, but you can pull it away from the spine and kind of gut the book so that the spine is intact. And then a nice hardcover book like a Reader's Digest book is my favorite. And then if I'm looking for books for pages, my favorites are botanical books, vintage French books, definitely, because those are my favorite themes, vintage and botanical and French. Any type of like poetry book, script book, children's illustrated books, that kind of thing. But it's a bit hard to answer without showing you, so I'm going to do a video sharing the books that I like to use for junk journaling, so I hope that can be helpful. Kentucky Crafter asks, do you have plans to have your own place soon? No, I don't have the funds for that at all. It would be absolutely amazing to have my own place, have my own craft studio, art studio, but at the moment it's just a bedroom, and my desk is in my bedroom with all my work supplies, all my crafting, art, journaling supplies. So it's all combined in one area. Who is next? Catherine asks, what's your favorite, what my favorite book is and why? My favorite book is Blue Like Jazz by Donald Miller. Having said that, I haven't read it in a while, so maybe it wouldn't be my favorite book still. But I have read it quite a few times already, and it's by Donald Miller, who is one of the people I admire most in terms of a writer, and he just inspires me to write. He writes the way I think, and his book was the first one I read that was like, oh my gosh, he's writing directly to me, like he is me, like and that made me feel not alone. It made me feel understood, and that's when I learned that books could do that, and I guess that inspired me to write my own books about my own story so that I could help other people out there also not feel alone. Really inspired by Blue Like Jazz. It's just about his journey, I suppose, a bit of a memoir about his Christian walk with God, but I just love how he writes. It's very witty, it's very insightful, very vulnerable, which is my favorite style of writing. So definitely inspires me in many ways, that book. What have we got next? Opal, she wanted to know the size of the envelopes I use, so I've answered that one in a video. Laurie, how did I come to making junk journals or making journals? Yep, I answered that one too, through Johanna Clough and Amity Bloom. Then we have Stacy. What inspires you and what advice do you have for someone to follow in your journey? Oh, this kind of question is always a bit tricky because my journey was very unconventional, maybe unplanned. What word do I want to say? It was very unplanned. So I feel like a bit of an imposter when people ask me this question, because I feel like I don't have the best advice. All I can share is what my journey was, rather than necessarily advice, because what worked for me may not work for everyone. But basically my story in a nutshell, again, I'll hopefully maybe share this in a video for a longer version of this story, but I was just inspired by the people who shared journals on YouTube, and so I wanted to share my own journals on YouTube basically. And then people started asking if they could buy the journals that I shared on my channel, and then from there it all just kind of snowballed. People asked me to start an Etsy so that they could buy them through my Etsy, and then I started a Patreon and people started supporting me there, which then allowed me to do this full time. And then after that I started doing journaling courses, which was one of my biggest dreams, to be able to teach journaling courses, and so I'm loving doing that as well. And I don't know, it's just been a crazy journey. And so my advice, I guess, is to love what you do and share what you love and know why you're doing it. So I know for me, even if this was not my job, I would still be journaling. Like, I know that for a fact because I need it for my own well-being. And I know I would still be creating because I can't not create. Like, I need to journal, I need to create. So regardless of if I have a YouTube channel and regardless of if this is a job or not, I will still be doing this anyway. And so my passion for it will always be there. Sometimes I hear people saying how, oh, they tried it, they tried selling journals, they tried this, they tried that, and they got discouraged and gave it all up because it didn't turn out. And I'm like, but what? No, still journal, still create. So know why you're doing it, so that way you're not going to be swayed by the result. So your own enjoyment, your own well-being isn't swayed by success or failure. That's something that I learned going into pursuing creativity, was I didn't care if I succeeded or failed, because when you're doing what you love, that's all that matters. For me anyway. I saw it as I will always be succeeding as long as I'm doing what I love, and it doesn't matter if the world sees it as a failure, because I'm doing what I'm enjoying every single day, if that makes sense. So I will try to maybe brainstorm a bit more about that and compile a list of advice, and maybe share that with my journey in a video, if that would be helpful. If you have any questions about that as well, feel free to put them in the comments so I can compile all those in that video too. Look, I am on a roll here and I'm very in a chatty mood apparently. This rapid fire question answering isn't turning into a short video like I thought it would. So let's just repeat the videos, and I will just continue talking. And I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're either watching this when you need to fall asleep, or you're crafting in the background, or cleaning, or driving, and can just listen to this or something. Anyway, let's get on with more questions. I could answer questions all day. I love questions so much. Thank you so much for giving me a question. When you give me a question, it feels like you're giving me a gift. It feels like you're giving me a piece of treasure. So do not be scared to give me a question. And if you want to make me feel loved, give me a question. So who is next? Laurel, other than paper, what are your favorite materials to use in making journals? Other than paper. Good specific question. Other than paper. Well, it's all about the paper for me, but if I had to choose something, what would I add? So if it's for my personal journal, if I'm making myself a personal journal, I honestly don't want to add anything. I just want paper. But if it's for journals that I make that aren't going to me, maybe something like charms. In fact, yeah, I like adding charms to my own journals on the spine, like a dangle. So maybe I'll go with that, charms. Charms can be really beautiful and personalized and special. Charms, let's do that. Lynn wanted to know how I store my finished journals and what I do when I have too many. Do we ever have too many? When I was moving house, I had too many, so I gave quite a lot away. But if I know I'm going to use one, I will keep it, and I don't think you can have too many if you know you're going to be using them. For me, I have too many if I have them just to have, but not to use. So I would get rid of the ones that I'm not going to use. But yeah, if I'm going to use it, it has a purpose, and I'll keep it, and it's not too many because I'm using it. And if what's the question? How do I store my finished journals? Oh yeah, I answered that one. I either have them in a container under my bed or in the bottom drawer of my chest of drawers. Okay guys, we are on to the last page of questions. Sandy, patron Sandy, thank you so much, Sandy. And Catherine, I believe that you're a patron too. Thank you so much to Catherine. If I've missed anyone who is a patron, I'm so sorry. Big thank you to all of my patrons. Sandy wants to know what type of video I enjoy making. My favorite videos are the ones of flip throughs, of completed journals, and also junk journal with me episodes. My absolute favorite thing about journaling is the filled journal where the page is actually being used. So that is my favorite. It's all pun and games. Wants to know where I get my ephemera from. Okay, so I get most of it from op shops, vintage shops, eBay, Etsy. Other ephemera would be from either like real life ephemera, like if you're talking that kind of stuff, like business cards, wrapping paper, just stuff you pick up from real life, and also from Happy Mail. T also wanted to know what I do when I'm in a creative slump, so I already referred to that one, and we'll do a video on that later on. Emily asks, how am I? How are you, Emily? Well, I am having so much fun answering these questions. These are always some of my most fun videos to do as well. I try to space them out a bit, but if I could, I would do them like every day. Happy Crafty Cat wants to know what motivates you to do faith journaling, and any advice to stay motivated to do faith journaling. So whenever it comes to like motivation for journaling, I always recommend journaling courses or journaling challenges, but that suits my personality because I like having projects, goals, structure. That kind of works for me, that kind of accountability. So if you've noticed following my channel as well, whenever I've needed to journal and like pour myself into a journaling project or creative project, I will create my own course for myself. So every single course that I teach started off as a course that I created for myself to get me to journal, to help me to be motivated and inspired to journal. So I have been considering doing a faith journaling course as a way for me, for what I need in my own life. So I always, when people ask, how do I get into journaling or how do I stay motivated to journal, I just share what helps me. Go find, there's lots of free courses out there, just do a Google search. There's always like journal challenges going around, on YouTube. There's always something there that you can find. and you just go at your own pace. Like, don't feel pressure to have to do it every single day. Just go at your own pace, do what you can, and have fun with it. Again, that won't work for everyone because it will feel too stressful having that method or that structure to it. My personality or temperament really thrives from having like structure that you get from challenges and courses. So yes, so much so that I create courses for myself. That's how much I need them in my own life. And then in terms of like your faith journaling, you might want to do like a Bible reading plan, or do it with a friend. That always helps, like having someone else that you can do it with, or a group that you do it with, maybe even like an online group, or other ways that I like to do my faith journaling is just to write my journey with God. And you could write your prayers, or you could just focus on one scripture, or what I tend to do is journal at night, while I'm in bed, just before I go to sleep or whatever. I'll pull out my journal and just write, my journey with God, or how life is going, and just, talking to him and listening to him, that kind of thing. So there's different ways to faith journal, lots of different ways. So you can try different methods and see what works for you. Gail Bear, the winner. Congratulations, Gail. Woohoo! She says, do you have any sewing tips for those of us that don't know how to sew or have a sewing machine? Well, I have a bit of a strange sewing journey, I guess. I'm sort of self-taught, but also sort of not. So I kind of had some experience with it back in high school in year 8, was it? Or year 9? No, I'm pretty sure it was year 8. We did one textiles class in year 8. Not one, like a subject was textiles. And so we used a sewing machine, and I was terrible. I was really bad at it. And like, I was so bad that, it kind of traumatized me from ever trying it again. So when I decided that I wanted to start adding sewing with my junk journals, I bought a sewing machine, but I didn't use it for like a month or more, because I was too terrified to use it, because I was just so bad at it in high school. But then I had a friend who sews came over, and she set it all up for me, showed me how to set it up, like with a spool and the thread and everything. And she sewed, and then she watched me sew. And because I already had the experience from a kid, I kind of knew the basic gist of how to sew. And I learned just by watching her, just by watching, and then sewing myself. I was completely slow as anything to start off with, like the slowest speed possible, and my stitches were all over the place. Like completely wonky. Don't be afraid of that. You just keep going, and eventually you'll be at top speed and sewing straight lines in no time. Yes, it will be awkward to start off with. You just got to get through that stage. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So my biggest advice with that is to find someone who knows how to sew, get them over to show you how to do it. If you don't have anyone like that, then YouTube would probably be your best bet. See how they do it on YouTube and follow along. Yes, so who is next? Jacqueline asks if I place different pages in my Daphne's Diary journals from other Daphne's Diary magazines, and what do I do with the leftover pages? So I already answered that one as well in a previous video about Daphne's Diary. I tend to mostly use pages from the one magazine in the cover that I use it from, but I've got no issue using pages from multiple Daphne's Diary journals, magazines in a journal. And then what I do with the leftover pages, I either use to cut up for collage material, or I give them away for other people to enjoy. Chris wants to know what basic supplies are needed for junk journaling, and I will do a video on that too, where I show yeah, your essential junk journal supplies. In a nutshell, basically needle, thread, and awl for your binding. Although, having said that, you don't need to do that particular 3-hole pamphlet stitch. There are other ways to make journals, but if I'm going to, go off the journals that I make, those are essential. Paper. You definitely need paper, and then some sort of cover. It could be any cover: envelope, bag, book, whatever you want. Cardboard, biscuit box. So whatever cover, and then whatever decorative paper or material that you want to use for the cover. That, yeah, I'll do a video on that for you guys as well. Terry, hi Terry. She asks, has your style of journal making changed since I started, or is it still the same as when I began? Great question. Yes, I believe my journal making style has changed from the beginning. In the beginning, I did pretty much like everything and anything. I just tried all sorts of different things because, back when I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just putting anything and anything together, everything and everything together. So my first journals were quite eclectic, very random, which were fun to make, but the longer I went, the more I work with themes. So, like a botanical themed journal, a French themed journal, a fairy themed journal. I much prefer working in themes, just because, again, that works well with my personality and temperament, where I'm very methodical, very structured. I like things going together. Having said that, occasionally I do break out and do an eclectic random journal again. The other way my style has probably changed over my journey is I used to do a lot more embellishing at one stage, like a lot of different types of embellishments. But I've learned, if I'm going to go off my personal preference and my own journaling roots, that I like a plain journal. Blank pages give you a blank canvas to work on, so that everything you put on that page comes from you. I still like a beautiful journal and something that can inspire you and be inviting, but my priority now is on journaling space, not the ephemera, not the embellishments. Sharon asks, what craft supplies do you consider a must for making journals? So that's like that question before, so I'll do a video on those supplies needed. Where are we? Herbalist at Heart asks, would you share in a video sometime your story of starting to junk journal, where you first saw or made for yourself a junk journal, and if I could either show the first journal I bought and wrote in with the JJ style, or my first journal that I made for myself. Yes, I will do a whole video on my whole journey of how I discovered junk journals, how I got into journaling, and my first one that I bought and the first one that I made for me. I would love to share that whole journey with you. That's what it's all about for me, is to actually using them. So I cannot wait to share that with you. But in a nutshell, again, started journaling, junk journaling from Amateur Women Johanna Klaff, and that was through YouTube. And the first journal that I ever bought, junk journal, was from Paper Pixie, who I saw. This journal I saw from her on her YouTube channel when she did a flip through of it. And then the first journal that I made was not long after, for myself, was not long after that day in August when I discovered junk journals. So I will definitely share a flip through of that for you guys. Can't wait. I'm very excited about that video. HMO Creations asks, what kind of brands do I use? Well, I don't tend to use many brands, I guess because I find most of my stuff from op shops and vintage places, like secondhand items, so there's not a lot of brands in that. But if I do use brands, my favorite is Tim Holtz. I do love that vintage style of Tim Holtz, and I quite enjoy, Kaiser Craft, and I don't know, I don't really know my brands. But I really love scrapbook paper, vintage style scrapbook papers, ledgers, botanical papers. I love all of that. So if I were to get, a branded papers, that's what I would get as my first preference. Corner Piece Studio asks, have you lived in Australia your whole life? Pretty much, for all intents and purposes, yes. I was born in South Korea, but I was adopted when I was 4 months old, when my parents came and brought me over to Australia, where I've been ever since. So, 4 months, I don't remember South Korea at all. So I consider myself, pretty much, I would say I'm Aussie born, pretty much. This is all I know. And I haven't been overseas, but I would love to eventually, maybe one day, go to Bali, Fiji, Vietnam, New Zealand, Greece, Spain. I don't know. Who knows? Travel isn't the highest priority on my list, but it would be nice to do. Kathleen asks, do I use pretty wrapping paper in my journals? I have used it if I've had it. I don't currently have any, but yeah, if I had it, I would have no problem using wrapping paper in journals. It is a bit thinner, but that just gives your journal a different texture. Sometimes people use tissue paper in the journals and thinner types of papers, rice paper, onion paper, so no issue using wrapping paper at all. And now we come to the last question. Woohoo! It is from Noteworthy and Nostalgic. What is your absolute favorite thing about journaling? Oh my gosh, how fitting is that? We are ending on like the whole reason I have this channel. How perfect. She wanted to know if it's making the journals, making the videos, or the journaling itself. It is definitely the journaling itself. That is why I do this. Journaling for me, like I said, I became a regular journaler since I was like 11, and I just found it to be so enjoyable and so therapeutic, basically, to get all my thoughts out of my head and onto the page, or to write about something that happened so that I wouldn't forget it. It was just so important for me to do that. And I'll just share, I guess this is the last question, so let me share some stories. I was a very quiet kid. I mean, I'm still a quiet person, you wouldn't know it from my channel, but I've always been quiet and a very much in my head person. And so journaling was my voice, and still is my voice, really. Journaling was my outlet, and it was my place, my way of being able to say I exist, because I felt like, especially when I was a kid, I felt like I didn't really exist in the world or that kind of thing, because I was, such a quiet kid. And for those who know my background, I've shared this on my channel too, my greatest goal in life when I was a kid was to be invisible and silent. So I, because I was teased at school and that kind of thing, and so if I thought if I am not noticed, then no one can tease me or reject me. And so I was intentionally tried to make myself invisible and silent so that I could just fit in and that kind of thing. And so my journals were my way of being seen, of being in the world, of having a voice. And so my journals, I have my quote cards in my Etsy. If you've seen those, there's some quotes there that kind of explain why I journal. One of them is, I journal to say I exist, and this is what life is like for me. So when I see my journals, they are like my most prized possessions, because they contain me. And especially when I was a kid, I felt like I wasn't in the world much, because of being silent and invisible. And so those journals were the most important thing that I owned, because they contained me when the world didn't contain me. They were like proof that I existed. They were proof that I was in the world. And so it's still kind of like that my journals are my voice, my expression, my life documented, and they still are there to say I exist. So yeah, I mean, we're going really deep now, but we're at the last question. And yeah, I love filling journals for not just that reason, but so many reasons, which I've already kind of covered in this video. Like, it gives me joy. Like, I really do enjoy it. I really enjoy it. It gives me peace. Like, it helps to unwind me. It helps to give me clarity and direction and guidance. It's a way that I talk to God and worship God through my writing, through my journaling and my creativity on the page. It's a way, like, just self-expression and that kind of thing is so therapeutic, and getting to see yourself on the page, it helps you to know yourself better, it helps you to know others better, it helps you to know God better, it helps you to know the world better through that process of putting something onto the page. And yeah, it does wonders for my well-being, it does wonders for my mental health, getting all of the chaos inside of me, in my head, in my heart, in my body, in my soul. It just goes all onto that page and out of me, and it's a safe place. It is a friend, it's a listening ear, it's a shoulder to cry on, and that's why I advocate for journaling all the time, and why I'm very, very passionate about it, and I believe in it, and I want to share it, and always encourage people to journal for all of those benefits. Love, love, love it. So yeah, I think I should stop talking now and go get a drink of water. And I hope you are all doing really well. Feel free to chat in the comments if anything resonated with you in this really, really long video. Let me know if you like these longer videos where I just share with you. I really enjoy making these types of videos too, where I can just share stories and life lessons and encouragement. That's kind of what I want to do as well. What was that question about my dreams for my channel for the future? I would love to share more wisdoms and more stories, and not just have it be about making journals, and not just being about tutorials or anything. My heart is for more, more of the deep stuff, more of the connection with storytelling and wisdoms and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm not sure how to do that, but that's kind of a little vision I have in my head. So something like this, you're watching me making a journal, but I'm sharing deeply with you guys about my heart. And yeah, if you enjoy this, let me know. If you have any other questions, or if you just want to chat in the comments, feel free to do that. If you made it to the end, let me know as well. Let's do a code word. We haven't done that in a very, very long time. Let's use the code word sapphire. I love sapphires, and it had to be something sparkly, right? I love sparkles. So use the word sapphire in the comment somehow, in a sentence, so that I will know that you made it to the end and stuck with me to the very end. Okay guys, I hope you're doing really well. I'm looking forward to filming these video requests and answering your questions later on in video form. It may take a while for me to do them, especially because I will be launching my latest journal course, the Inspiration Collage Art Journaling course. Hopefully tomorrow the introduction video with all the information will go up, and then later on this week I will have that course running every single day for 30 days for anyone who would like to join me with that course. So yeah, a little sneak peek there at the end of this video, what's coming up on my channel. But yeah, anytime you have a question or a request, or just want to chat, feel free to pop it in the comments or email. And be sure to journal your life, because your stories matter. Bye, guys.
A big thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in April. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this for another month. It really means the absolute world to me, and I could not do this without you. If you would like to become a patron in May, I will leave the link below to my Patreon down in the description box. That's where you get access to more videos from me, personal updates, printables, and if you're a Ruby patron or higher, you get every single digital kit from my Etsy with a new kit each month. If you would like to support my channel through a one-off donation, you can do that through PayPal to my email address or through Buy Me a Coffee. And if you would like to be part of any of my journaling courses, I'm starting them again in May for the month of May. So feel free to email me to register, and I hope you have fun journaling your life because your stories matter.